Welcome to the Sales Lead Dog Podcast, hosted by CRM technology and sales process expert Christopher Smith, talking with sales leaders that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Listen to find out how the best of the best achieve success with their team and CRM technology. And remember, unless you are the lead dog, the view never changes.
Welcome to Sales Lead Dog. For today's episode, joining me is Jim Iyoob. Jim is the president of ETS Labs. Jim, welcome to Sales Lead Dog.
Chris, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited about today's session.
Awesome. So am I. Tell me a bit about ETS Labs.
Yeah, so great question. So ETS Labs was born out of ETech Global Services. ETech Global Services, a global BPO. During my tenure, I used to run ops. And during running ops, I tried bunches of technologies, really wasn't happy with them, built our own, started using it internally. Customers said, man, I need this. This is unbelievable. So we recently spun out ETS Labs, which is really an AI-driven portfolio company of software and managed services.
That is pretty cool. There's a lot of work involved in that. That's not something that you just do overnight. Yeah. That's a pretty heavy lift. You're also an author. You have a book over your shoulder there, AI in Contact Centers, Transforming Operations, Quality Assurance, and Customer Experience. Tell me about the book.
Yeah, so one of the things we love is to help others. And I look back to my career. I started my career, and I'm sure we'll get into this later, but I started as an agent. Before they had Claude, Anthropic, all these tools, before they had all the people, and you really had to learn a lot on your own. Getting to the call center space, I said, man, I wish I had some of these things. So every book we've written, and my CEO is with me on this one, it's really to teach people where we were, how we got here, where we are today, what you can do, and more importantly, where's it going in the next 3 to 5 years? Because I'm a big believer. I don't believe AI is replacing all your jobs. So I'll say it. I'll probably get in trouble for that, but I'm not
I agree with you. So what was the genesis for this book? What's the idea behind it, and who's this book targeted for?
So the book is to help managers, specifically people who are in call centers, whether you're a leader, an agent who wants to be a leader, if you're an executive who is thinking about AI, because the field is so, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, I guess convoluted, because every email you see, revolutionary, game-changing, AI, replace all your people. It's a lot of noise. And what we wanted to do is say, listen, it is noisy, but there are some things that work if you follow this. And this isn't like a theoretical book. We took our company from 400 employees to 4,000. No mergers, no acquisitions, no venture capitalists. And it's the how-to we did it and where we see the call centers going next.
That's awesome. That's a great story. We're going to get back into the book here in a few minutes. But Jim, when you look back over your career, can you boil it down to 3 things that have really driven and led to the success you've achieved?
Well, I think the number one would be mentors. So I'll tell you a story. I got a job at a company called Dun & Bradstreet back in the 80s, 90s. And believe it or not, I was an agent, like I said. Green screens, by the way, Chris. Now, most of your listeners probably don't know what that is. But I had a green screen. And this guy by the name of Matt Rocco pulled me into his office. He was the director of the call center. And he says, hey, welcome. What brings you here? What do you want to do? And I looked at this huge office. And I said, well, geez, I kind of like your job. I'd like to have this. And for whatever reason, this guy took me under his wing. He is my CEO today. I've been with him for over 34 years. He mentored me. So number one would be mentorship.
Yeah.
If you can find a mentor, it is huge. Number two, I would think is the foundation. I do believe in my heart that you have to have fundamental education on what the role is before you can become a leader. So I'm all about operational expertise, understanding it, and building from there. And I think the third one, which may be, depending on who you are, I'm all about accountability. Do what you say you're going to do. If you don't know what you're going to do, tell me you don't know what you're going to do and tell me you need help versus trying to cover it up. So I like the accountability too.
No, that's huge. That's huge. It really is. And it surprises me how many people shy away from accountability. Like it's something to be afraid of. And to me, that's the wrong way to think about it. It's to me, accountability is like anything else. It's a tool to help you get better.
It is, and I agree with you. And it's funny because some people get defensive when you're just giving them feedback.
Yeah.
We believe feedback's a gift.
Yeah.
You mean you're going to help me get better?
Yeah.
What more could I ask for from my employer?
Yeah. I've had a consultant that was working with us where she had never been given feedback before. She's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But it was shocking to me that you've gotten this far in your career and no one's ever given you feedback. Well, get used to it because I'm going to give you a lot of feedback because my goal is I want to elevate you.
Yeah.
I see a huge amount of potential in you and I want to elevate you to your full potential. To me, that's what it's about.
It is, but I think you just nailed it though. You know what I do believe? The people who don't want feedback think we have a hidden agenda. That's not true. Right? Our goal is to get you better than me so that I can take off. That's what I tell my team.
Yeah.
Go on vacation and not worry about the business.
Yeah. No, that's it exactly. I have a friend of mine that I lost touch with her for like 3 years and then we reconnected. And so I'm like, what have you been up to? And she's like, oh, I took the whole last year off. She's CEO of her business. I'm like, well, okay, there's a story there. How did you do that? She's like, well, I decided 4 years ago that in 3 years, I'm going to take a year off and I'm going to spend a year traveling the world with my husband. And then she said, like, what do I need to get there? So I need to start elevating my team into these leadership roles. Things that I've been doing all the time, I need to get them to where they're doing it. And so 3 years later at Christmas, they had the big Christmas celebration in the company and she left. And she did a monthly call with her team. Once a month, they would talk about strategy, strategic things, check-in call. And that was all they heard from her 12 times throughout that year. The business grew 40%.
That's amazing.
That's leadership.
I'm writing that down. Now I got a goal. 1 year vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then she came back and she's like, now I had to create a new role for myself in the business because I'm not going to mess with what they're doing, and it elevated her to think about the business in just completely different ways.
What a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about like early in your career, what was an early role you had? You said you started as an agent, but was it that role or something else that really cemented you on this path that you're on today?
So it was funny because I went to school for computer programming and system design. I ended up being a call center agent, and a lot of people, which I talk to people all the time, well, that's just my temporary job. When I got into the call center business at Dun & Bradstreet, they allowed me to be creative. So in 1997, I actually created call center sales teams at Dun & Bradstreet. In the old days, if you remember that, you were always in the person's business. I used to drive between us and your listeners. I hated to be on the road.
Right.
I said, I can do this from my office.
Yeah.
So the guy, I remember my boss at the time said, all right, smart pants, go ahead and do it. So I started using the phone to actually contact customers, not the big ones, but the medium-sized ones.
Yeah.
And it worked. And then I ended up creating teams, customer acquisition teams, customer retention teams, customer success teams in a contact center. Long story short, my mentor, I tell you, Matt Rocco, I was with him for years. He says, I'm going to Nacogdoches, Texas. And I said, where's that? So we're from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You'll find out. We came down. He was recruited to come run this company with the 400 employees, one location, brought me as his number two. And I think that's what it's about, the people. And I just enjoyed developing, growing. And I didn't want to be the person that just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it. I liked innovation.
Yep.
And that's really what probably got me into I love my job. I love working with people. And I think that's probably why I stayed in the contact center industry. And again, my technology stuff came in later on.
Right. Hey, we're taking a quick break to thank you for listening to and supporting the Sales Lead Dog podcast. I want to take a moment and tell you about my book, CRM Shouldn't Suck. If your CRM feels more like a black hole for data than something that actually helps your team sell, you're not alone. The book breaks down why CRMs fail for so many businesses and what you can do about it. No fluff, just real strategies that work. So go to crmshouldn'tsuck.com to order your free copy right now. That's right, we're giving it away. And while you're there, take 2 minutes to check out the CRM Impact Score. It's a quick diagnostic that shows you how your CRM is really performing, where it's helping you and where it's hurting you. You'll get a personalized report with clear, actionable next steps you can start right away to maximize your CRM investment. We've also got blogs, videos, and a bunch of other resources to help you finally get the results you were promised when you bought your CRM. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes of Sales Lead Dog. Okay, let's get back to this episode of the Sales Lead Dog podcast. Right. Do you consider yourself to be an educator?
I do consider myself to be an educator of people. And even in my teams, I tell them all the time, I read a lot. I have lots of books. I'm not a big book person anymore. Now that you got your Kindle, it's fun, but I still have books. But the old days, it was always paper. Now it's a little digital. But I've also realized I want to read at least 1 to 2 articles a day, because I believe over a year, now you could actually become a master at a lot of things, right? Like cooking. I love to cook. It's one of my side hobbies. Actually, I'm a sushi chef.
Nice.
Did you go to school for that? No, right? And I didn't learn it on YouTube videos. I did watch a few videos, but it was more practice, more doing, right? And then actually perfecting the craft.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was the biggest pain point you had early in your career that you had to overcome to achieve success?
So probably pride and ego, because when you're good, you are definitely prideful, which is Bible tells you really shouldn't be. Still working on that part of it. And the ego, because we think we know it all, right? And I had great mentors. I had several mentors, but the biggest pain point is what I had to learn. I know the answer, but I'm trying to get it from my team, but I can't dictate the answer out. So I have to I don't want to call it buy-in, because I'm not a big believer of the buy-in theory, but the more collaboration. How do I lead them to where I want them to go? And then it's their idea. And that was probably one of the hardest things. I remember, true story, my mentor, we're in a meeting, it's like 7 or 8 of us. And at the end of the meeting, he hands me a sticky note. I didn't have a sticky note on my desk. And it was 14 check marks. And I said, "What's that?" "That's how many times you said I."
Oh.
Got it. So that was probably the hardest. It took me years. I didn't fix it overnight, so we're clear.
Right.
But I now understand that I'm older and in a higher level. I understand it now, but that was probably the hardest one, because I'm coming saying, when I say it means I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. And he's like, "But you're not doing all of it."
Right.
Fair enough. That was probably the hardest one.
That's a great story. There's a lot there for the listeners to unpack, and that, you need to make yourself vulnerable to receive that kind of feedback. You need to be open to, not take it personally, and you have to be willing to act on that.
Yep.
What are your, we talked before we hit the record button here. One of the things you're really passionate about is servant leadership. Explain servant leadership, your perspective on that to the listeners, please.
When I look at servant leadership, it's serving others first. And an example of this is when I went to India, I set up our global operations in a different country. Transparently, not a lot of Christians out there. And I have the book of the Bible, basically, which I'm trying to read. I'm not trying to convert people, but we're just talking about how to help others. They stood up. They were like bowing down to me. And it's just, no, 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 I'm just like you. And they're like, no, no, no. And you're an executive. You're not supposed to be talking to us. And I'm like, no, that's not true. So when we built that culture, right, where I would put myself on the floor, put myself with them, talk to them every day, it was really just to help them. Long story short, I hired 23 people in India in 2003. Today, we have over 2,100 employees, 2 huge buildings in our India locations. My director, or actually my first manager I hired in 03, his name is Gurudat. He's our executive vice president in the US now. My VP of strategy, hired him 2003, still with me. He lives in India. He's not leaving. My another VP I have, been with me 15 years. So the more you serve them and help them, it appears to me that they want to stay with someone who believes in these type of things of helping others and growing others.
What's the hardest thing about being a servant leader?
I think it's being taken advantage of. One of my pet peeves, if you want to call it that, is just because you're a servant leader, some people, not all, there's always a percentage of them that will try to take advantage of that servant leadership because they don't want to be held accountable. And that's probably my biggest pain point. Now, not everybody, obviously, but there's always a few, as we know. But that's probably the hardest one, is how do I hold you accountable, still tell you I love you, but understand if you don't do what we're asking you to do, there's going to be consequences.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like being a parent, right?
Yeah.
You know, doesn't change how I feel about you, but you still got to get things done.
Yes.
Still got to clean your robe, still got to brush your teeth, still got to take a bath.
Still got to take out the trash. But my daughter has fixed this one, though, Chris. You'll love this. My 24-year-old,
yeah,
she lives at home with us. Her job is to take out the trash.
Yeah.
Calls her boyfriend. Boyfriend comes over and takes out the trash. Said, Dad, I'm doing
That's delegation. She's a born leader.
Born leader.
I love that. That's awesome. Hey, you need to get over here now. It's starting to smell. Do you have a story of failure that you leverage to educate people about how to use failure as a growth opportunity?
So I have so many failures. I continuously fail and I learn from it. If you look at what we've done with ETS Labs, as an example, we built a quality analytics tool in 2003. It was good, worked internally. I was never satisfied with it. Built it, spent my career building this thing to be the best performance management tool known to man. I tried to deploy it everywhere. And it was an epic failure, meaning at eTech when I was doing it. I couldn't do it. And to answer your question, I said, everybody said that I was mean because I'm telling them what you're doing wrong. Think about it.
Yeah.
I got it. So then I actually brought in somebody else, one of my, directors. They tried to do it. Same results. Still not I'm not getting the adoption rate that I wanted.
Yeah.
Same thing. Put another person in. So that was probably my biggest failure. Now today, which is ironic, it's deployed everywhere, probably about 78% adoption rate. And I think the lesson I learned, which is the hardest one for me, I built this unbelievable tool with my teams, my developers.
Yeah.
I didn't involve them throughout the process, right? Which is what I tell people now. If you're going to put AI into something or do anything, you need to involve them. And where I was coming from is, wait, I built this unbelievable thing. Why are you not using it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably the biggest 5-year probably of my life.
Yeah.
Having to re-engage these teams to say, I'm not trying to tell you what you did wrong. I'm trying to tell you how you can get better. And I should have involved you during the process instead of building it, sending it, and telling you, go use this.
Right.
That's probably my biggest failure.
Yep. No, that's a great learning opportunity. We need those learning opportunities, as I call them, to grow. it's hard to grow if you're just successful all the time because you're not really sure why am I successful. Failure to me gives you context and gives you, I think, just a better perception. Hopefully, if you're really using it as a tool for growth, a better sense of perception and perspective.
Yeah.
So, what advice do you have for young leaders embarking in their first sales leadership role?
Yeah. So I will tell you the first thing I would tell you in a sales role. I remember being on the phones in sales. I would tell you, be yourself. People are afraid. Listen, we all know people buy from people they like, number one. So you have to have a good personality. Number two is be a lifelong learner. You're not the expert. The trainer who trains you, and I'll probably offend a trainer, they're not the expert or they'd be doing it, right? Sometimes you got to get a lot of people to help you. Read an article a day is my motto. Number two, be humble as much as you can and balance the ego because the most successful salespeople do have an ego, but they also know they're not the smartest person in the room all the time. And I think the biggest impact that I've ever had in anybody's life is mentorship. Find a mentor, not your best friend, by the way. Luckily for me, my boss is still one of my best friends, but it grew over years. He wasn't my best friend when we met. And the reason I say that is you need a mentor who's going to tell you the truth, not somebody who's going to tell you you're doing it all right. Don't listen to everybody else. You need truthful mentors. And I say mentors as plural because you want different perspectives coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm huge on that. I tell people like, hey, look, get a mentor, get mentors, but my advice to you if you do that is get naked fast, like remove whatever armor, whatever shell you have, whatever. You need to lay yourself bare and share with them what's really going on, not only in your work life, but your personal life, whatever, because it's all connected. We as much as we might want to try, we can't separate your personal life from your professional life. They impact each other. And so you need to be open and you need to be vulnerable. And you need to be receptive, because if you have a good mentor, they're going to tell you stuff you don't like to hear. You don't necessarily want to hear, but you need to hear it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did your mentorship relationship evolve over time? Because it's another I think a good mentor relationship is it will evolve. It's not going to be static and you're getting the same advice over and over again. Can you talk us through a little bit about maybe some of the evolutions you've had in the mentorships, not only where you're the mentee, but where you're the mentor?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a young gentleman, works in my organization. His name's Manu. He was with me for about 13 years. He's been with DTech. So about 10 years ago, I went to him. He was a call center agent, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, listen, I'm looking for a trainer. He was an agent. Very good. I said, I'd like you to come over to my organization and start training people on the future of where we're going with quality, blah, blah, blah. So he took down the role, saw what he was doing, mentored him every week, 1 hour session, talked about this AI stuff I'm building. He says, well, I'd like to learn about this. Gave him some assignments, did it real quick, came back. I sent him to MIT, paid for it.
Yeah.
Comes out as a certified data engineer. Now he's running that entire organization. And I still mentor him. And when it started, remember, training, analyst, scientist, engineer. So it evolves. In my world, I was an agent, I was a coach, an account leader, a director, senior director, AVP, all the way up. So my coaching for my mentors always evolved as my role because a lot of people think the higher you go up in the organization, the less work you do. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff you've never done or don't understand. I remember trying to learn P&Ls, and you think a sales guy like me, numbers are easy, right?
Yeah.
Not when the first time I saw a P&L.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I had to learn that, right? So as an example, it always evolves. And then it's always good to get multiple mentors, multiple things to look at as well. Because somebody's going to be really good at finances. Like my other mentors are one of our presidents, Kayleen. She's a numbers master, right? So I go to her when I have numbers questions, like, hey, this doesn't make sense, as an example. So you got to have different lines of sight to different types of mentors.
Yeah. And one thing I've learned as you go higher up the ladder, higher up the pyramid, the leadership pyramid, you become more isolated. And it's very, very helpful to have people to go to and share, like, hey, I am struggling with this. Have you ever encountered this situation before? Um, and to get these different perspectives. There's all kinds of groups you can join throughout your career to have a mentor group potentially, and that's been very helpful to me in many ways, just to know, to normalize it. I'm not the only one who's ever encountered this. Like, this is not unique. It happens all the time.
Yep.
I'm not special. And there's a path forward.
Absolutely. And you think about it, when I started my career, we didn't have all these LinkedIn learnings. You didn't have YouTube. You didn't have all these things. And you're right. There's a lot of resources out there, which is why I read all the time.
Yeah. What role does your faith play in your leadership? I noticed over your other shoulder, you've got, is it Jesus, the High Road Leader? Is that the title of that book?
Yeah, so this is John Maxwell. So we're big believers. We've been doing John Maxwell. Our Dean of Leadership Development is a certified John Maxwell teacher. So we've been teaching 21 Laws of Leadership. So, I mean, back in the old days. And then he's just been an inspiration. As a matter of fact, I was actually at his event last week in Florida. And you talk about loneliness. The whole session was around the 9 areas of loneliness in leadership.
Okay.
So we believe it. We believe in that. I mean, as a believer, we know that we're not perfect.
Right.
And we also know that helping others is really what you were put on earth. But there's a bigger picture beyond a job, beyond a paycheck. And then he's just been one of the people that I've read and studied and went through courses for the past 24 years at ETech, 20 years at 23 years, 24 years at ETech.
Yeah. Do you find it difficult to balance your faith? Like you talked about when you went to India and you're Christian and you're in an environment where they're not aligned with your religion. How do you balance the two in your role? Because I have a very strong faith. And to me, this is an element. I think a lot of people were afraid to talk about that in the business world. But how do you balance things?
Yeah, I got a story for you on that one too. So, probably I'm shocked I'm still alive. Number one, I remember in the 80s, I got in a bad motorcycle accident. I was young and I was probably not as grounded in my faith as I am today. I'm in the operating room. They're cutting their clothes off me on a steel table. My parents are in the room. I heard the doctor say he's got a 50-50 shot of living.
Wow.
And I do remember me saying, God, please don't let me die. And I also remember my mother, who was a devout Catholic, come over and say, I'm not, don't you? Which
thanks, Mom.
Kind of stuck with me for decades because obviously I came out of it, right? Got this unbelievable job, met these unbelievable believers. So that's probably what's grounded me, because I should have definitely been dead. I punctured my lung, fractured my, broke every rib in my body. I was in ICU for over 30 days.
Wow.
Definitely shouldn't have been here. My CEO, Matt, been with me, as you know, I've been with him. He's had similar experiences.
Oh, wow.
So he broke his neck, cages, dumb. I tell him he's past the cat stage. He's gone past 9 lives.
Yeah.
When I see that strongness of the beliefs, it's hard to turn away from it.
Yeah.
Now, in India, amazingly enough, whether they believe Jesus died for our sins is a different story, but they do believe he was an unbelievable teacher. Mm-hmm. So while I'm not trying to convert, just mimicking what he's done is helping others, I think that's probably what got our culture together. Is it always work? No. I'll give you the other story. Matt Rocco and myself were at a meeting with a prospect. This was back early in the ETech days. And we had our deck up there talking about, here's ETech. And at the bottom of one of our slides, it says, we believe in Jesus and we believe, servant leadership, blah, blah, blah. One of the people in that room was offended because we were talking about it.
Right.
We didn't get that piece of work, by the way.
Right.
It's okay. But if you look at it, not everybody believes in it.
Right.
But we didn't change, if that makes sense. Like, right. I'm not going to change because one person says I disagree with you. So that's really how we dealt with it.
Yeah. I think you have to be who you are, and it's like, I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just stating who I am and what my values are, and what, because that's important. That's really what defines us as humans.
Yes.
So yeah, that's too bad they were offended. Let's change topics here, shift directions a little bit. CRM, do you love it or do you hate it?
Well, it depends which one you're talking about, because I fired 5 of them.
Yeah, I love that. That is not, if you've been around as long as you and I have, that's not uncommon.
It's the problem I have with technology CRM people.
Yeah.
And they have zero domain expertise.
Right.
And I mean this humbly. I started as an agent. I was on the phone. I know what it is. I've owned reporting. I know what it looks like. They come out and sell these bells and whistles and features, which are such myths.
Yeah.
I want to say lies. I don't want to get in trouble, but like myths. They're myth. They're methodical characters. It's going to do all of this stuff. You don't have to do anything. That's a lie.
Oh, I tell people all the time, if you have someone pitching to you like that, run.
And run fast.
Just get up and leave. There's nothing good that's coming after that.
And what I've also noticed, the bigger the player is,
the
actual worse their service is.
Yes.
I'm a believer in service. Like the current CRM I use, I've been on it for about 20 years. And I've tried other ones throughout this. That's why I fired them, right? Because it's not working.
Yeah.
The one thing I've always go to is service. I think people forget that when I'm buying a product or service, regardless what it is, you need to service me.
Yes.
And this company's the only one that has actually serviced us in the 20 years we've been there.
Yeah.
Other ones we were down, put in a ticket. My call center's down. Yeah, you got to submit a ticket. And somebody will get back to you. I mean, that's and the bigger they get, I go to a lot of events.
Yeah.
It's a $250,000 booth.
Yes.
With all 25 salespeople.
Yep.
And the first thing I say to myself, I wonder who's paying for this, because I know it's not them.
Yeah.
It's in their pricing.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't, that's why I'm not a big believer. I think technology, by the way, is an enabler.
Yes.
It is. And I think that's where people look at it, because like, it could do that. I don't need any of that. You know what I need? Phone, person, transcript. I don't need all this stuff. Yeah, but you can do, I don't need any of that. And that's what hurt. That's the bad side of CRM.
Yes.
I like startup companies and I like smaller companies until they get too big where they lose all that stuff. But and luckily for me, mine has not gotten that big that he does not take care of us.
That's awesome. And hold on to them. I tell people, I try to educate people when they call me about CRM. I'll hear it all about like, why do you think you need a new CRM? But like, oh, our sales process is horrible. I need a new CRM to fix it. And I'm like, that's like saying I need a new house and you're talking to the hammer saying, go build me a new house. It's not going to, it's a tool. You have to use the tool. You have to have the right tool and you have to use the tool the right way. I've yet to see a piece of technology that can fix bad process. It does not exist.
It does not exist.
You're not holding yourself accountable for bad process. You're just delusional, and doesn't matter what I do for you, it's not going to work. It's anyway. So it's technology is a tool. It's an enabler. If you do it the right way, it will help you give customers better experiences. It'll help your salespeople sell better. It's not a stick to whack them and, hey, make sure you're doing your job. It can do that, but you're using it the wrong way if that's how you're using it.
You're right about the process. I have a prospect recently I was speaking to, and they came to us to use some of my AI stuff. First thing he says, let's look at your processes. And it was funny you say, because he actually on the phone said to me, yeah, but isn't AI going to fix this process? No, you don't fix the process first. Yeah. You're just going to replicate the issue.
Yeah, that's all it's going to do. I just wrote we're doing a webinar in February, and I had to record our little promo video for it. And one of the lines in there that I told people is like, look, if your data's bad, if your processes are bad, All AI is going to do is give you garbage faster.
Faster.
That's it. It takes garbage in and garbage out and just does it faster. So you have to be prepared for this. You have to do it the right way. It's not going to fix anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're at our time here, Jim. I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your insights and your experiences with myself and the audience. If people want to reach out and connect with you, they want to learn more about the business, what's the best way for them to do that?
Easy. Best way to do is Jim Iyoob, Iyoob as in boy. And it's easy to find. There's not a lot of me out there on LinkedIn. That'd probably be the best way. Happy to talk, happy to mentor. By the way, like you, I'm interested in educating people. I have a newsletter once a month, no sales, all education. You can subscribe to my newsletter as well.
Oh, I'm going to sign up. That's awesome. If you didn't catch any of that, no worries. We will have it in our show notes. You can get that at impellercrm.com/sales lead dog, where you'll get not only this episode, but all our 170 or so episodes of the podcast. Be sure to check that out. Be sure to subscribe so you get all our future episodes. Jim, thank you again for coming on, and welcome to the Sales Lead Dog Pack.
Thank you.
As we end this discussion on Sales Lead Dog, be sure to subscribe to catch all our episodes. On social media, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Watch the videos on YouTube, and you can also find our episodes on our website at impellercrm.com/Sales Lead Dog. Sales Lead Dog is supported by Impeller CRM, delivering objectively better CRM for business, guaranteed.